Joining us now is fantastic filmmaker and producer Igor Lopatonok. Igor isn't your typical filmmaker. He doesn't make safe movies. He makes films that blow up the official story. You probably remember Ukraine on Fire, the documentary he produced with Oliver Stone that tore apart the mainstream narrative on what has really happened in Ukraine. Well, now he's back with a new film on Amazon Prime called Iran, The Great Game, where he tears into the official narrative of why Iran is so bad that we need to go to war with them. He basically shows us why it's all one big lie. And in it, he brings in heavyweights like Oliver Stone, Jeffrey Sachs, Pepe Escobar, as well as Iranian insiders. In fact, let's just go ahead and watch the trailer.
January 8th, 2020. A passenger plane falls from the sky in Tehran. 176 lives lost in seconds. But what if this was only the spark in a much older fire? To understand why the West fears Iran, you must first ask why it tried to remake it.
Iran, third largest oil reserve in the world.
From Cyrus the Great to the War on Terror, from ancient empires to modern sanctions, it is a story about power, about memory, about defiance.
Iran is a civilization state. It's at the crossroads of Eurasia.
When it comes to regime change, the United States does not abide by international law, by the will of the people.
What does the world see when it looks at Iran? A threat or a nation that has simply refused to kneel?
The Parthians never acceded to Rome. They never gave up.
When they divide the people as evil and good, this is the beginning of mistake.
The great game is over.
This is not just Iran's story. It's ours too.
Igor Lopatonok, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you, Kim, for having me again. Long time.
Okay, let's dive into this one. So, very interesting. The premise of your latest film, Iran, the Great Game. This is similar to Ukraine on Fire in that basically the American narrative is all wrong. Am I getting this right?
Yes, that's attempt to educate the audience what is sick out of mainstream narrative. And mainstream is dominated by big bad wolf, Ayatollah's regime, oppressing regime. They want to war, they want to destroy Israel, they want to and the innocent woman and the people who love the freedom, the suffering under this regime, and let's do regime change. Let's do Ayatollahs go away, and this is dominating our mainstream media. This is why I make this film, an attempt to bring some personal view of American traveling to Iran with a question to understand why Iranians do not trust United States.
Yeah.
Why?
Go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, why our relationship more than 40 years is strained and there's no way out of this? What we live in, how we perceiving them, and I find the answer. It's in the film, actually.
The issue with Iran. So, how far back do you go? Like, at what point do you start? You said 40 years ago.
We start 5,000 years ago. We start with Elamite. We start with a beginning of establishing of Achaemenid dynasty by Cyrus the Great, and we go into the old places. What was the ancient Persepolis and the place when they all shachs and kings was buried, Xerxes and Artaxerxes and Darius IV. And we tell this story before that was called Parthians, before that was called Elamites. We go to the Zarathustra time and find the first monotheistic religion thriving in these places. And we see some artifacts like this amazing cypress tree, what is more than 4,000 years old, still standing. By the legend, the branch of this tree was taken by Zoroaster from a dam implanted and in a commemoration of first king who was adopted to Zoroastrianism. So we go so deep because history is my tool of explanation.
Yeah. But obviously the United States is not 4,000 years old. So the beef between the United States and Iran, I think what modern, what people, what we've been told in our lifetime is that, like you mentioned in the beginning, Iran is this, they're tyrannical, they're terrible, the people are oppressed, we have to stop them. They hate America, they chant death to America. So we have to stop them. We have to stop them. A lot of the language, and I just had Dennis Kucinich on the show last week, and he was against the Iraq War when they were trying to champion it. And it was interesting how literally the exact same sentences that they fed us during the Iraq War, weapons of mass destruction, Saddam Hussein is going to have these nukes and you don't want him to have these nukes. It's literally the exact same. I mean, it's like, we're so dumb that we're gobbling it up again, the exact same. I mean, almost word for word sentences. They're just switching out, instead of Iraq, it's Iran. Just switch out the 4-letter I starting nation. I mean, it's insanity. But a lot of people believe that the United States wants to go to war with Iran on behalf of Israel, and that it really is the Israelis that are controlling this. But is that true when you look back at the history? Because I wonder if the U.S. has been wanting to go to war with Iran well before Israel had this much influence on the United States. Or maybe it's just been the Israelis all along.
Kim, this is you jumping right to the core of this problem. Because if we carry with somebody war, Iranians, patriots, has a big story with the Semites living in the region. Nobody know that the Second Temple, what was destroyed by Romans, was built and financed by Persian Empire. The financing of this sacred place for the Jew was done by Persians. Nobody talking about this. And but everybody talking about the weapon of mass destruction, everybody talking about human rights oppression. My movie is not about human rights, but I was in Iran, I was in the street, probably as I was for the last years, I was only American who gained such an access to film. I not go into the rocket silo when they weapons standing, but I go on the streets and I film the people, regular faces, not talking to them, not asking them questions, but seeing them and all over in my film, just to give a sense of how it is real, what is a real Iran. Because we know, when you perceiving the country from the mainstream media point of view, you seen all bearded guys wearing Kalashnikovs chanting death to America. We, by the way, have very good explanation what we find about this chant, death to America. That's not mean death to American people. They was protesting against dominance and the wrong decision of American government only. Mm-hmm. This is a way of resistance, what they explain. It's also not...
Also that phrase, I think they use that phrase, it's kind of like when we say, oh, I would kill for a steak right now. I'd kill for a milkshake, right? Like we have these phrases that a foreigner, if they heard them, would be like, oh my gosh, like you would kill somebody just to have a chocolate milkshake? Like what is wrong with you? And so, but it's a language thing. And my understanding is that they say things like, kind of like death to taxes, death to traffic, death to, it's like an expression of, we do not like this thing a lot.
That's just very much declining of our doctrine of dominance, what we are implementing in Iran from the time of creation this Islamic Republic. And we never try to understand the way of their governance. We immediately blame them as a theocratic regime, what is not true. For me, it was like a deep dive in the history and deep dive in the cultural things and asking the questions to find out what is the Velayat is. And I find it is a very revolutionary way of governance, what they're actually very proud about their way of governance because it's different than democracy. It is including the elements of practical democracy, but is also including the moral standards of religion. You can say anything wrong about Iran, but you cannot decline that Islam, it is a world religion and is fastest growth religion. As an Orthodox Christian, I find very, very big similarity of my beliefs and beliefs what Iranians has. But I also understand how Shia is different, and this is in film. Why Shia and Sunni is so different, and why we as an empire use that difference a lot. Try to make Saudi and Iranians enemy, try to exploit it. Because people in the Harvard and the West Point, they study history pretty well. They know the differences, and then they try to use it. That's exactly what they did in Ukraine. That's exactly what they're trying to do in Iran. And it's very funny when there's all regime change champions, like the son of Shah Pahlavi, who is promoting himself, and competing organization, what is actually terror organization, designated as a terrorist organization in the United States, MEC. It's interesting how different American politicians, mostly heavyweights from Republican side. I will not call the names here, but I will call one name who is a championing for the MAC. This is Mike Pompeo. Why I'm calling him and John Bolton? Because they're in subject in my films. They was conspiring to kill General Soleimani in 2020, and they succeed. Because what I understand, that to people, especially Pompeo, they understand what is behavioral patterns is. They calculated Donald Trump on this time, and they find out that it's easy to impress him and to tickle his ego, what is paramountly big. I cannot say that's bad or good. It's just a fact.
Right.
They sell him the idea to be better than Barack Obama killing Osama bin Laden to killing Qasem Soleimani. Well, this Qasem Soleimani was a guy who actually destroyed the ISIS. And as you know, the ISIS was our creation. ISIS was our not only negligence, that was our creation. Look, the guy from the ISIS now in Damascus in the presidential palace, and he visiting our in meeting with our president. This is how crazy this world. This is what my film is, a personal dive into history of multiple interventions in the area, starting with a great game, old great game what was played by Imperial Britain, Great Britain and the Imperial Russia, to access to India through this territory. And I find very good a lineup of speakers. My dear friend and partner in crime, Oliver Stone, give me a hand and tell me the story about Alexander the Great and his incursion in Persia. And I will have a chance to speak to Jeffrey Sachs, who give us a reason why and who is playing the card, why this war belongs to Israel, not to United States. And we also talked to a very prominent journalist, Pepe Escobar, who is covering the BRICS and the Eurasia events. And very, I was introduced to him, to his works by my teacher, Robert Perry, when we did Ukraine on Fire, who was also an icon of independent investigative journalism. And we did also a couple of Iranian people, who is Dr. Larijani and Professor Marandi, and they give a perspective, very, very gentle perspective of their point of view on the subject.
Of the Iranian point of view.
So we balance it with a Western point of view and the Iranian, and we come to one conclusion. This is all about dominance. This is all about attempt to dominate the nation, has a 5,000 years of history. And in this history of Shah and Shah, and I've perfectly written in the amazing Ferdowsi book Shahnameh, they tell in the story how the Shah was changing. So they developed some skills for these 5,000 years, how to govern themselves, how to choose their rulers, and how to change them. And now we are empire who exists a little bit more than 250 years. We're trying to teach them. Saying them, no, this is bad guy, this is a good guy. And our previous attempt with the Shah installed in the coup in 1953, what was also not our goal, because it was the Brits who asked us to do that, because Brits was losing the British petroleum, they losing the Anglo-Iranian oil company, which was nationalized by Prime Minister Mossadegh, and they have no assets and no money to fight it. And so they come to White House and they said, "We need your hand. We need your help. Please make this war for us. Bring us assets back." And we did. And this is actually what was leading to the Iranian Islamic Revolution in 1979. This is how this all connected.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds like whether maybe this current round of trying to get at Iran, maybe Israel has a lot to do with it. Maybe the United States is doing it at the behest of the Israelis. But it sounds like we've been going after Iran well before the Israelis were poking us to do it. I mean, we just come up with a new excuse or a new reason to go after Iran. And it's not just the United States. So, I mean, if you go back 4,000 years, then it's empire after empire battling the Persian Empire.
Yes, because it's geographical importance. That's a key region to access India. This is a land corridor, and Afghanistan as well. This is why Afghanistan, this was about the core of the great game. I do the little historian inaccuracy calling my film Iran the Great Game, because the original Great Game was about Afghanistan, but the part of contemporary Afghanistan was Persia. This is why historically I'm right. There's a great game about this area. And it's not only just, couple of speakers from around the world. We traveled extensively and filmed extensively in Iran. And it was hard for me because I love the foreign cultures. I was doing the big movie about Kazakhstan and diving deep in the history of Scythians and Sarmats. But for me, it was even for me, with my experience and my love to the Central Asia cultures, it was hard to penetrate, how to understand, because culture is so different. It's a different religion. It's a different time, different zone, different everything. And I was struggle to catch it in the contemporary Tehran, big megapolis, 10 million people, and they drive like crazy on the streets. They have totally different the drivers' behaviors. But when I go deeper in the country, to the south, when you go to Isfahan, we go to the Yazd province, we go to Shiraz, and I finally find Persia, what I love. And first 40 minutes of my film is dedicated to the history. And if you're not loving Persia, when you see the bridge in Isfahan and people singing the songs and the poetry of Attar Nashipuri is on the screen, you can stop watching. If you're not interested until this time, I waste my time, I waste my budget. But if you're interested in it, find out what is all. 40 minutes of introduction, historical, very visual, and after that we go in the political, very tense conversations.
Was there anything that you, while making this film, Iran the Great Game, was there anything that surprised you?
Surprised me. First of all, when a lot of lies surprised me, but it's proven I'm right. I was surprised when I saw the woman was not covering their heads, and that was not just one woman. I was sitting in a restaurant where all women in the restaurant was not having the covered heads, and that was okay. Nobody from the police of morale come and arrest them. No. And they're doing this because they want to be like a kind of different little bit. But they love it. They love their way of living. This is not surprising, but was like reassuring for me. And second, I find Iranians very naive, very believing in their principles and strict to the discipline. And, I was trying to find a Sufi to talk about my subjects in the film. I know that's Iran and famous, that's Islam is based on the Sufi wisdom and knowledge. And I was studying it a little bit before. So I'm trying to find a real Sufi and asking friends when to travel, what mountain area. And then finally I find it in the center of Tehran. The friends bring me, not to me, but for us. And we have a beautiful conversation with, and that's not me, but another speaker in our film, who is Alistair Crook, ex-British diplomat. He was working for MI6 as well. He was working and that's how he's famous Why he is famous? He was the first guy who arranged the sitting around the one table, Hamas and Mossad, to negotiate in his operate through Lebanon, and the Alistair asked that guy Sufi a very interesting question, and this question started with: we have the crisis of idea in the West. Is there any advice from you as Iranian man of wisdom to Americans? And I was surprised, but it's paradoxical as usual in Sufi wisdom. He told the Americans need to go to the mystical Islam, to the mystic of Islam, and find an answer. In my perspective, that will be really crazy, but this is a way how Sufi is thinking, how they. So imagine the president of United States and is an Islamic mystic. Unimaginable, yeah? You go, no, Igor, stop it. So that the guy, but what we see now after that slash and the big wave of gaining understanding where is our idea after Charlie Kirk assassination, who we are, and looking at Christianity as our idea, that's exactly moment in same direction. What's
Right.
finding identity, and the one advice from now, I was asking the questions my speakers what books they recommended to read. So Professor Marandi gave me this book. He said, Igor, going to Tehran. That was definitely must read. Oliver gave me another one, Rome and Persia, 700-year rivalry. But Persians never bow to the West. They never accepted the dominance. So this is the biggest our problem in the foreign policy in the area of Iran. That's attempt to project the dominance instead of attempting to understand the nation and their sovereign rights. And of course, that the domination is also leading to the sanctions. Doesn't matter how Iranians want to have peaceful nuclear energy program. That's all about dominance. Give us your oil, obey, or we're gonna hit you by sanctions, or we're gonna hit you by bombing, etc., etc. Unfortunately, I understand for this war, it's a biggest trap on a way of reforming American domestic policies. Because if we're gonna be succumbed by somebody else's war, what will take from us not only money, what is in the end of my film, we did a little ending with with all math, simple facts. 2 trillion, 25 years in Afghanistan, and we changed Taliban for Taliban. We unleashed that war on Iraq. We destroyed the Saddam regime, what was actually we was funding before and helping him in Iraq-Iran war. And after that, let's give a breeding place for ISIS. We succeed with regime change in Syria. Look on this country now. Libya exactly same. So what is all for? Why we need to spend American taxpayers' money? Because it's all paid from our pockets, your pockets and my pocket. Right. This is how the military-industrial complex make themselves rich.
Yeah.
It's only one way. It's only one goal in this. There's nothing else than that.
Yeah, I think also just to slow down the development of these countries. I mean, even if it is, like you said, swapping out, trying to do these regime changes and only ending up with the same exact regime, if not worse, getting into power. I think maybe part of the thinking is, well, we'll slow them down. They won't be able to progress if we keep them tied up with sanctions and wars and isolation. Then they'll, and that's the way it is with Iran. Keeping them down, keeping them from really rising up. I mean, this is obviously a country full of highly intelligent, highly educated people.
Kim, I ask him, who give us that right to do that? We are
right, of course.
Unfortunately, we are so ignorant because we don't have this tradition of democracy more than 250 years, and in our democracy, it's a lot of staged events. Like a uniparty with people the two parties, like one goal. And how we teaching the people who exist like a 25 times more than we are.
Yeah.
That's actually like, really surprised me. Like, really, like, why we so ignorant about this? Why we not trying to make our democracy better, our way of governance?
Well, that's a question many Americans are asking, right? Which is, why aren't we focusing on America and working on our own government? Why are we focusing on all these others? And definitely, I think one point that you've brought up that I wish Americans would understand about Iran, which is no country is going to be able to destabilize them to the point where they overthrow their government. I mean, that is what we've attempted this over and over again, trying to get the people of Iran to rise up and overthrow their own government. And they don't. Every time there's an attack on them, every time something like this happens, they rally around their government. I mean, they do not want outsiders coming in and making decisions for them. I mean, the Iranian people are proud. The Iranian people are strong. They're highly intelligent and like I said, educated, and they're just not going to allow outsiders to come in and dictate. And that's the biggest complaint I hear from Iranians is that they're not given, because they're constantly being forced to rally around their government, that they're not able to really assess whether or not they want their current government in the way that it is and make the change on their own. Because anytime it looks like they might want to make change or they protest their government or something, then the US, the West, uses that opportunity to come in and try to destabilize and topple them. Tries to capitalize on that opportunity. So the Iranians can never they can never do what they want to do with their country or with their government, because they're constantly worried that outsiders are going to come in and co-opt it.
Actually, you know what, Kim, that's a lot of also mainstream bullshit about how bad the life in Iran.
Yeah, I don't think they have I don't think anybody in the world, to be honest, like even in China, I think the average person has a good life pretty much anywhere.
I see the gas and the gas station cost 16 cents per gallon. 16 cents. Can you imagine this? Tell it to American public. You're gonna go to the gas station, you're gonna pay 16 cents per gallon. Okay. Right. The next one, we did that, arranging the food for my crew. We go to the decent cafe in the street of Tehran, ordered the food, and when we finished and paid, we paid $80 for 10 person. 3 meals, food, 3 different kind of meat. We paid $80 for 10 person lunch. And unbelievable. So they live in as they live in. They go into the mosques. They cherish their martyrs. They actually the shahadat, the part of the Shia wisdom based on the Imam Hussein teaching, who was the biggest martyr, who actually ignited the Shia movement in the right after he was killed. So they're ready to be killed. For them to be killed by enemy, this is the fastest way to reach to Allah. And we are trying to kill them. Now that was actually, it was blow my mind when the Alistair tell me, Igor, great game is over. The great game diminished to the one goal, to take off Trump. Mm-hmm. I was like, Trump. Because, and also, they're not gonna go nuclear war like on a battlefield. They're gonna go after heads. And that's exactly what's happened in this 12 days war. And what is worrying me very much, not only by the Alistair predicted in May, what they're gonna take off the heads of Islamic Revolutionary Guards or the nuclear scientists, because it's happened. What is worrying me, because phase 2 is practically ready to start, to launch immediately. Why this movie is important? Because we are on the brink of second phase of Israel-Iran conflict. Yeah. And I don't believe that Iran will start it, because it was not Iran who launched the rockets, who blew the people, who killed them, and that was Israel. And that's giving the, you're calling the big bad wolf, and after that, during the night, you're attacking the independent sovereign country with rocket strike, and you're saying this because they develop a nuclear bomb. Iran has capacity they have a nuclear science. We cannot stop that. The signatory of non-proliferation agreement, Israel is not. Israel never was inspected by independent or international atomic energy experts because they have a nuclear weapons, what they stole from us,
Right.
and they don't want to acknowledge that. They don't want
Right.
to. So this is very simple. I not go in all in the Gaza situation in my film because it was totally different subject. But what's happening in Gaza and happening now with Iran-Israel war, that's exactly projection of this war and saying like, oh, I cannot fight that. That's so big country, 90 millions. They Islamic radicals, fanatics,
Right.
fight for me. Give me the money. Give me the B-1B bombers. Give me this. Give me that. And it's look like we are giving them everything what they want. But this is not beneficial for us, Kim. That's is interesting. If you study the economy as a Jeffrey Sachs, very well known how it's work, the military industrial complex economy and economy of war, it is not more efficient than economy of healthcare, infrastructure, and investment in a development of our society.
Yeah.
This is a simple math. So if you invest in the roads, in hospitals, and a university, the growing the market cap is much bigger than if you invest in bombs, in rockets, and ships.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we certainly have a morality problem, I think, in this country when it comes to what we want to make money on. Right? We like making money on war, and we've continued to make money on war. And most of the American people are gaslit and not really looking at it that way, and they should be. I mean, I think more and more Americans are waking up to the military-industrial complex, but I think a lot of them still think that it's a morality. They think that we're fighting wars for morality, when in reality they don't realize that we're fighting wars because we are immoral. It's not because we're fighting for morality. It's because we are immoral, and we think war, it's okay to make money off of dead bodies. And that is a fundamental problem.
Bombing people, bombing independent states at will. Where is morality in this?
Right, there is none.
Because our war, actually, sorry to say, I will bring it down. Our war was a distant war. In the war, when we face an enemy in the face-to-face, we suffer such a defeats. We suffer defeat by defeat in Vietnam, Afghanistan, everywhere. When we was facing the war, when enemy was face-to-face, we are good on fighting war, bombing innocent people from a distance. Better drones, as Obama did, or now the bombing independent countries just to prevent them doing what they're doing. Okay, but we have much more civilized way.
Right.
And killing people who is in the negotiation and saying and bragging about this, I don't think it's moral. This is a completely immoral. Doesn't matter that's coming from my president. If my president wrong, I'm gonna criticize him. I vote for him 3 times. I make a big series about it. And I'm doing this because I want to help him. I want somebody's look into that film and try to understand everything what we tried before doesn't work. And we trying again and again and again. Maybe it's good time to try something different. Try to say to that, let's try to understand how you rule your people.
Yeah.
Try to find what the commonality we have.
Yeah, absolutely. Igor Lopatonok, well, thank you so much for being here. And we do have the link down below for people to watch this video. It is on Prime Video, but that link is down below. Iran, the Great Game. And the idea behind this film is to educate, to get people to be fully aware, just like Ukraine on Fire, what is really behind this whole, we got to go to war with Iran. We're on the brink of going to war with Iran, and really understanding it. So definitely a must watch for everybody. Send it to everybody have them watch it as well, so that people could just be really informed before championing the next war that the United States might barrel itself into. Igor, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. Big pleasure for me.
Thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iversen Show, which you can catch Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. It is free for you to watch. Again, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, KimIversonShow.com. See you there.